But I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave.
He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the Highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. 2 Esdras chapter 9, verse 1, 2, and 3. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Bracha Kodash. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. It's the brother Haran coming back at you with another lesson, Lord willing to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. And I have a couple of articles here going into news and prophecy, all right? And it's both political and geopolitical. All right, it goes to show you, just as we read, earthquakes and uproars of the people, all right, in the world, okay? And the word world is key, indicating that it's a global phenomenon, right? It's a global occurrence, and it's happening, intensifying on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. All right, I saw the elder apostle Tahar did a lesson, I believe it was yesterday, that I saw going into, there are decades when nothing happens, and then there are weeks when decades happen, right? And we were 7, 8, 9 days into the month of January. Let's see, what's today? Right, 8 days, right? 8 days into the month of January. And we've seen so much, all right? Things, are escalating, countries are shifting, aligning with each other, against each other, and so on and so forth. So the battle, all right, is being set, okay? The battle is being set. Countries are, like I said, going back and forth, setting the stage for ultimately that ultimate clash of World War III, all right? Bibi Yahu, all right, he already told his Israeli military to prepare for World War III, okay? So why is he saying that? Well, let's read. It says, Iran, Israel, and the United States all say that they are ready for war, okay? It says, things are getting very intense in the Middle East. The Islamic radicals that are ruling Iran believe that United States and Israel intend to use the mass protests that have been going on for nearly 2 weeks to try to overthrow their regime. It says, if Ayatollah al-Khamenei and his top advisors reach a point where they are convinced that the Iranian government could actually fall, there is no telling what they might decide to do. Okay, and this is what's going to cause, as in, I believe, 2 Ezra 16, all right, it's going to cause the Carmanians to rage. Okay, the Carmanians is referring to, all right, these Iranians, all right, the Persians, so to speak, okay? It says, meanwhile, President Trump has declared that the U.S. is ready to take military action if the Iranians continue to kill more protesters, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin has warned that there will be very severe consequences for Iran if Israel is attacked. So now we know that Israel is about to be attacked. In other words, it's going to be an inside job, because we know that nobody, and I mean nobody in their right mind, goes to attack Israel. Why? Because the system is designed that way. Okay, if there's a genuine attack, all right, that they're concerned about, the only concern that they have is really people talking online. They deem it anti-Sem, misinformation, disinformation. That's their main concern. They're not worried about who's going to attack us. They don't. That's not the case. Nobody cares. right? They know. So if there's going to be any attack on Israel, whether they're going to use ISIS or whether they're going to use in the name of Hamas or whether they're going to use Iran or whatever country, we know it's fabricated, because ISIS and Hamas was created by the Mossad. And so therefore they are not going to be attacking Israel. They never have and they never will. Okay. As a matter of fact, when Hamas soldiers get hurt, they go to Israel for treatment. So we don't want to hear none of that shit. Okay. It's all fabricated. It's all made up. Again, the world is a stage. Okay. It's a stage, and people fall for the tricks, you know, the grandeur, the explosions, the attacks, and all these different things, the political theater. It's all a game. Okay. It's orchestrated to play out a certain way. All right. And by us talking about it and exposing, all right, the game itself, how rigged it is, they get mad about it, because then their witchcraft can't work, right? It's all about us. It's just a stage. It's propaganda. Okay. It says if either Khamenei, Trump, or Netanyahu pulls the trigger, the Middle East will erupt in flames. And we know it's not going to be the Iranians pulling the trigger. Okay. They're the ones who are being provoked, if anything. All right. Continuing, it says, and this is all going to biblical prophecy of the least of the flock drawing them out. Okay, you notice Israel is in a mix of all these things. America's actions are dictated based on Israel's demands. Okay, it says the mass protests in Iran keep growing. All right, mass protests. Okay, mass protests is going into what we just read in Second Esdras, is going into the uproars of the people. Okay, mass protests, and it's going to be all over the world. All over the world. Why? Because people are uncomfortable and they're not agreeing with the direction in which their governments are going in. All right, for the most part, most countries are lined up to go with this whole digital framework. So you got countries that are protesting that, and you also have countries that are protesting, all right, the what's the word? There's a foreign policy. There you go. The foreign policy of their nations, right? How they're dealing, what kind of relationships they're having with different countries, and so on and so forth, militarily, financially, how these decisions are affecting the civilians. The people are rising up against that. Okay, even the land of the Jays, all right, the tiny hats are protesting what Bibi Yahu is doing. All right, they're saying that he's using, or the Z's, the Zionists are using the J small hats, all right, as a reason, all right, to be justified in going around and committing the atrocities that they're committing, especially against the Palestinians. So they're standing up against their own government. Okay, there's a whole video that I have on that where when Bibi Yahu came to New York, they were out there protesting in the streets of New York. You didn't see that shit on the news. You don't hear that on the news. If it wasn't for mainstream media, I mean, you know, these social media websites that people could record what they're doing and then put it up, you wouldn't know some of these things that's going on. It's just dead silence. All right. And all they talk about is bombard you with, are they going to finally release the Epstein files this year? Or shut up. Okay. That bullshit needs to die someplace. Real life shit is happening. Okay. All this Epstein thing, yesterday I seen a thing that said, the DOJ has released only, 1% of the Epstein files. Like, what release did they make? Everything is redacted. It's all blacked out. We told you, they're not going to show you shit. All right, they're not going to show you shit. And even if they do, it's going to be at the last very minute where there's nothing you can do. All these niggas who on the list is all dead anyway, right? They're in your bunkers. What are you going to do? Okay, well, we got the list for you. Now what? That's the question. Now what? What are you going to do? Huh? You know that Trump is a pedophile. Okay, now what? What's he going to do? He got all the power. What you going to do? You about to be chipped, nigga. Think about that part. Not the Epstein files. Not who's on the Epstein files. That don't change nothing. Your ass is about to get chipped. That's what you need to be worried about. Okay, it says here, the mass protests in Iran keep growing, and on Wednesday there were reports of security forces retreating in the face of fearless, unarmed crowds in some cities. Right, so you're looking at something like that happening in Venezuela, right? You got the so-called, they call them the radicals. All right, you got militias, all right, coming together, picking up arms and fighting against whoever the puppet government may be. So you're gonna have civil riots right there. Okay? And then here in America, man, so that's where it says, you would think that the security forces should have the upper hand since they are armed. But when security forces are vastly outnumbered by enormous throngs of protesters, the crowds could push or could rush the security forces and pummel them to death. So in several western Iranian cities, security forces have been forced to pull back. Okay? It says, of course, there have been other instances where Iranian security forces have opened fire with live ammunition. But even though there have been fatalities, the protesters are not backing down. Okay? And that's all, again, going into the uproars of the people. All right? It says the death toll is rising with each passing day. According to the CBS News, at least 36 people have died so far. All right? And, the article is saying that the death toll is possibly higher than 36. Was it 36 they said? Of course, 36. Right? So, it says, but in any event, everyone agrees that protesters are dying. On Sunday, President Trump once again warned that the U.S. is ready to hit Iran very hard if they keep killing protesters. See, and the hypocrisy of America is going to be exposed soon when you see how ISIS agents. When you start seeing more of the shit that they're going to do, because yesterday was just the beginning of the temple being set, right? Of we're coming after you civilians. That's just, we told you this. We said they're going to use this migrant crisis as a means to bring in Rex 84. You're seeing, and martial law, you're seeing them build to that. Kristi Noem came yesterday and she literally lied and gaslighted the audience, and then turned around and said the person who used their vehicle to try to run over law enforcement the situation is being treated as a domestic terror issue. She's being charged as a domestic terrorist. The bitch is dead. Let's not forget that. She was killed by the ICE nigga. Shot in the head. Just like that. And then they turn around and say, oh, and then you got the reach. I think these might be bots at this point. These bots that they have that pop up in the comment section, and they say the most annoying shit, and you be like, yo, who is this nigga? Like, that's right. Law enforcement must always be protected. You should listen to orders when you're told to stand down. You dummy. What are you talking about? The woman is not here no more, bruh. She wasn't in no way. She was leaving the space. And she got, you know what? So that ICE nigga, the Nazi ISIS nigga that did that shit needs to be brought up to charges, bro. But you know what's going to happen? They're going to switch it, flip it, and be like, oh, see, domestic terrorists. You try to use your car to run over, you turn your car as a weapon. So we got to find a way to, hey, soon cars are going to be banned. It's ridiculous. All right? It's ridiculous. And they know they can get away with it. That's why they do these things. These storylines are so phony nowadays. It's not even funny. All right? It's quite annoying, really, that people actually fall for this shit. But hey, it hastens prophecy, because ultimately, prophecy says that these things happen. It doesn't say, okay, well, it happens because Esau is manufacturing shit in the back end. It just says they happen, and we wait for them to happen, and that's it. However they come out, they as long as they come out, that's all we need, right? That's all we need, because the true action is in the reaction, right? Prophecy takes place when people react to events that's happening, okay? It says, by now, it has become clear that Trump is not bluffing when he says stuff like this. As it says, and many members, oh, wait, what did he say? Okay, so Trump said they're going to hit very hard. Yep. All right. It says that many members of Congress are cheering him on. For example, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham was another demon, another Israel J. Cook, right? Just told Fox News that Trump will kill Ayatollah al-Khamenei if protesters continue to die. That's what he said. Straight up, just like that, bro. That's a threat against another person's life, okay? And Lindsey Graham needs to be, looked at, because this dude sounds like a straight terrorist, bro. He's gonna be killed? Are you kidding me? If the protesters continue to die, what reason do you have in Iran to go be the judge and executioner? All right. Oh, we gonna decide who gets to live and who gets to die if these protesters are not protected. Well, how about you protect your protesters in your country? Huh? When Americans start getting up and protesting against ICE, telling them get the F out of our cities, let's see how you go about doing that. Are you going to be protecting the protesters, or are you going to be sending Kristi Noem to go and tell them that they're domestic terrorists for protesting against the government? Huh? What's going to happen there? And if a different country was to decide to say, hey, you're killing your own protesters, we need to step in and do something about it, what are you going to do then? Okay? It said the Iranians keep firing live ammunition at protesters. I do think that Trump will try to take Khamenei out. Well, he said he's going to Russia for security. You know what I'm saying? For succor. So you're gonna have to go over there to Russia to go get him. All right. It says that once Trump decides to move, it can happen very suddenly. At this hour, Iranian forces are on the highest level of alert. And if they take that man out, the Ayatollah, if they take him out, it's game over, man. That's when you're gonna see things really pick up, because shit, that's a key man right there. All right, in the Islamic faith, bruh. I'm telling you, Muslims don't play that shit, bruh. Especially the Persians. The Persians don't fuck around. In America, yo. It says the Iranians clearly remember what happened last year, and they do not intend to be caught by surprise. And even going back to 2020, right? Soleimani, that they took him out, right? The Iranian war general that Trump took out back in 2020. I believe that happened on January 3rd too, right? January 3rd, 2020, he took him out. Okay. It says on Wednesday, the head of Iranian's military issued a threat that was quite ominous. Okay, it says Iranian's military chief warned Wednesday that Iran will not stand by and allow itself to be threatened by outside powers after the United States and Israel backed anti-government protests. Okay? And of course, that's what they always do. It's all part of the game. It's all part of the game. We'll go in there, we push regime change, we turn around and say, look what this guy's doing to his people. We must go in and go liberate those people. Lies, more lies. Is that the Islamic Republic of Iran considers the escalation of hostile rhetoric against the Iranian nation a threat and will not tolerate its continuation without responding, General Amir Khatami said, according to the Fars news agency. It says, was he suggesting that Iran could conduct a preemptive strike attack simply based on hostile rhetoric? They don't move like that, though. All right, the Iranians, most people, most countries outside of America and Israel, they're pretty reasonable when it comes to war and things of that nature. They become unreasonable because they have to match the unreasonability of America and Israel. That's what happens, okay? Because America calls something called defense, but really they mean offense. You understand? When they say we're protecting the homeland, what they're doing is they're going outside of the homeland to go cause war and then claim that we're protecting the homeland. When they go kidnap a president and say that he's a drug lord, drug cartel lord without any proof, and then after the deed comes out, the truth comes out, it says that, oh, actually, Maduro is not no drug cartel head, drug head or whatever, drug lord. So then what is going on, right? We're going to go take Greenland because of national security. Well, Greenland is not just a land just vacant, just laying there. There's over 30,000 people over there. And it's a semi-sovereign country under Denmark. Okay? You can't just go and take that land. Well, we need it for national security. Who else better than for us to have it? Russia can't have it. China can't have it. Well, they never said they wanted it. Yeah, but it's in the West, so we must have it. What gives you the right? We must have it. It's the only thing that makes sense. This is the hammer of the earth, man. Okay? The hammer of the earth. Okay? The disruptor. Okay? So yeah, America's unreasonable deeds is what brings all this division and chaos and confusion, okay, and mistrust among the other nations, including the nations of NATO and EU. All right, all these things happening, the rhetoric and the actions is all leading to the breakup of NATO and EU, okay? Or really NATO, because America is part of NATO. America is not part of EU, okay? So the EU nations are going to start banding together against America specifically because of her foreign policy and the actions of the president, okay? And how it's affecting their economies, because they have deals that America is coming in and saying, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to tackle this, we're going to take this over. Okay, so they're like, yo, time out. What you're doing is destabilizing our economy and it's causing problems here. You see, we dealing with the petrodollar, but you guys are making us want to go deal with the BRICS because we just can't trust you niggas, man. The way y'all niggas move, y'all fucking it up for everybody, bro. One day we agree to do this, and the next thing you know, you go behind our backs and you do something completely different. And then we got to turn and be like, hey, America, what's going on? We never knew about this. Why are you doing this? And then America turns around, Trump turns around, shut up, just take it. We're doing the best thing, just wait. if you don't allow it, we're going to come in there, we're going to take you out, we're going to put somebody else in there. You understand? So you just be quiet and you allow us to do what we got to do. And these countries are fed up. Okay? These countries are fed up with America and their bullshit. All right? So it says here, it says, if Iran were to engage in some sort of preemptive strike, Israel would likely be targeted. The Israelis clearly realize this, and Netanyahu has warned that in such a scenario, the consequences for Iran will be very severe. Boy. It says, it certainly feels like something is coming, because something is coming. The end, nigga. That's what's coming. It says, have the Iranians given the Russians advance warning? If Iran feels an attack is inevitable, they might strike first before their air defenses and missiles are taken out. It is being reported that the Russians are urgently evacuating their diplomatic personnel from Israel right now. Okay? It says an evacuation of this nature certainly suggests something is up, and at the very least, Russia feels precautions have reached the danger zone where their personnel are at risk. Okay, so this is chaos and war everywhere, man. Okay, if other nations start evacuating the embassies in Israel and Iran, that will be a major red flag. Once Israel and Iran start going at it again, it will be a battle for all the marbles. And that's when you're going to see, all right, these major countries and players start getting involved. Okay, you're going to start seeing them get involved. And the ultimate opponent of America is Russia. Okay, the bear. All right, because it's through the bear that America gets destroyed. All right, once you start going head-to-head conflict with Russia, it's game over, man. Okay, East versus West is game over. It says, so let's hope that cooler heads prevail. Well, they're not going to prevail. Okay, they're not going to prevail. Remember, the Lord is the one who's stirring up all these things. Okay, He's the one who's leading. Let me get that real quick. There's a book of Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 17 says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. All right, the Medes represents Russia. Okay, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Okay, so there's coming a time where when Russia starts to make that move, there's nothing that America can do that's going to stop them. Okay, verse 18, it says, their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. Right, that's war. Attacking their military through war. Okay, military weapons and so on and so forth. It says, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Right, they're going to be taking out pregnant women, all that. Their eyes shall not spare children. Right, so when they drop the missiles, the bombs that come down, whoever it gets hit, gets hit. We don't really care who's getting hit. As long as they get hit, they got hit. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So when it's all said and done, America is going to be devastated and destroyed completely. Like Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by way of what? Fire. Okay? So that's what's coming. That's what's coming to America. All right? And you got months to see this play out. Okay? Months, man. It says, unfortunately, I don't think that is going to happen. Yeah, because cooler heads are not going to prevail. Biblical prophecy states that this is how America goes to her end, to her grave, forever and ever. Okay? It says, I think that events are moving us in a very particular direction. That's right. It's prophecy. And the whole world is going to be shocked by what is coming next. Okay? And this is all the end of the American dream, the end of America as a whole. Okay? And the end of America as a whole that she is. All right? Now, let's look at the political part. All right, the homeland. All right, it says Waltz prepares National Guard after fatal shooting during ice preparation or operation could spark powder keg. Minnesota Governor Tim Waltz said he is preparing the National Guard to ensure public safety following the killing of a woman should be murdering of a woman during a federal immigration enforcement operation, stressing that his administration is not seeking a confrontation with Washington. Speaking to reporters, Waltz framed the move as a precaution rather than a signal of escalation, noting that the state's responsibility is to keep communities calm and protected during moments of heightened tension. The governor acknowledged the seriousness of the incident and the concerns it has raised, particularly among immigrant communities and local leaders. Listen, they're coming for everyone. All right, just prepare. Because Trump, the madman, that cruel lord, he could just get up one day and say, you know what, get this nigga out of here, arrest him, we're putting somebody else in there. All right, as a matter of fact, F that. Take this governor out, take this mayor out, and install military operations in there, martial law. When you have martial law, you don't need no governor to be taking over anything because it's now under military rule. Okay, so if Trump decides Minneapolis is acting up or Minnesota is acting up, and there needs to be order, he's going to enact martial law in order to bring in that order. And they could do it state by state. It doesn't have to be nationwide once all at the same time. It could be state by state. And I believe they're going to go after the Democratic states first. Okay, he's going to start going after Democratic states because they've already set the tone. At the end of this year, at the end of this month, you got the government shutdown. Okay, because they extended it from November all the way to the end of January this year. So after that, are they going to come to another agreement? Are we going to have another stall? What's going to happen now? Okay, what's going to happen now? What's about to play out right now, man? How are these Democratic states going to, make a case against Republican states? Right? This whole civil divide that's going on. How is that going to play out? Right, you saw glimpses of it back in October, November, around there, where we're going to see the yen pick up again. And with all this ISIS situation, because ICE with the S sounds like ISIS, so I called it that because that's what they're doing. Right? They're the domestic, they're the real terrorists. All right? Because it's not the civilians doing the shit that they say that they're doing. It's always somebody just picked up a thing to hit up an ICE agent. Oh, somebody's threatening ICE agents. Somebody's doing this to ICE agents. They're just doing all this shit to create new regulations to come against you, the American people, from revolting against all this bullshit that's going on. All right? Soon, you're going to have people who are protesting for real, legit. And they're going to have concerns that most people feel. Like, my job is messed up. I don't got no more rights. I can't do shit. I got no future for my children. Like, all this extra stuff that people are talking about. Those are legit concerns, right? Those are legit concerns, but they're going to frame those legit concerns as radical. Understand that. Mental health issues, okay? People that need to be arrested and documented for threats against the government. Because one protester, one dude, he said, we need to stand up and tear this motherfucker up. That's what he said. That shit had me dying when I was watching that video. I was like, this nigga here. He said, we're going to tear this motherfucker up. Going crazy and shit. He's like, yo, man, we tired of this. Like, we need to go grab this motherfucker by his collar and pull his ass out the White House. I said, oh, shit, that's where we going with it, right? So you got that going on. You know what I'm saying? That's all sedition among men, okay? But it's going to take a higher leap because this is all part of the people being uncomfortable, man. All right? The uproars of the people. All right? Uproars of the people. Let me see something here. Trying to see if there's any more on this article here. Right, so there's a little bit left here. We're going to finish it off here. All right. So it says here, it says he emphasized that any loss of life is tragic and that questions surrounding the operation need clear answers. Waltz said that the state expects a full accounting of what happened and will cooperate with investigations to determine how the encounter turned deadly. It's just reckless niggas, bro. These ICE agents are not, they're all IDF niggas, bro. That's why they all have the mask covering their faces. It's like, that's unsafe, bro. If you get pulled over by a bunch of niggas that could pull up on you like that, and they got masks on their faces, they're not really identifying themselves, and they're just very hostile, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like pulling your phone out, grabbing you up. I seen a video where there was just two Northern Kingdom dudes in their car. They got pulled over. And these niggas was being so hostile, bro. Grabbing them up, punching their shit out. You know what I'm saying? And them dudes were in the car like, we're not getting out. We're not getting out. Fuck that. What is this? We're not being detained. So what we got going on? So they were resisting, right? Which the whole thing, oh, do not resist. You get shot if you resist. All this bullshit. Nah, bro. You people need to band together, stand up and stand. Hey, it's going to get there. It's going to get there. It's called biblical prophecy. It's going to get there. Okay. It says at the same time, Waltz rejected the idea that Minnesota is in open conflict with federal authorities. He said coordination between state and federal agencies continues, and that the National Guard's readiness is about preparedness, not defiance. I've never been to war with the federal government, he said, underscoring that his focus is stability, not political theater. It's going to end in political theater. It's going to end in political theater. Okay? And that's what's going to cause that civil unrest. Remember, the Lord talks about what we just read it in 2 Esdras 9, when 2 Esdras 9:3 says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So the earthquakes, right? When you go into that concept of the earthquakes, right? Of course, you have the physical seismic shaking, right? But also it goes into what? It's a symbol of turmoil, right? It symbolizes instability, right? Chaos, right? People being distressed, right? Distress among nations, right? So that earthquakes, is representing the turmoil of the global turmoil, so to speak, right? Which leads to what? The uproars of the people, right? Social unrest, what they call civil unrest, riots, protests, just straight up disorder, anarchy, chaos among people, and what the main reason why they're doing all that, right? Because of the actions of their governments. They're going to be voicing their discontent, okay? Displeasure, all right? So let's get that real quick in the book of 2 Esdras, chapter 15. These days, this is beautiful, man. This is just wonderful. I mean, damn, the Lord didn't even waste no time, bro. The first month, right? So first month. All right, this thing is picking up just like that. I love it. Love it. Okay? Love it. Love it. We've been waiting for these days, man. People were just laughing, giggling, scoffing. Last year, you saw how many people were scoffing. All them videos that the elder Menaz Talkback was bringing out, we said it. So these are the days before the end, bro. This is the days before the end. The Lord put a spirit on him to bring out them videos to condemn these people as a testament, okay, that the gospel has gone throughout the whole earth, and that now the end has come. All these people are talking shit. All right, it's an indictment against them, okay, and it's also a testimony that we got the truth, and this truth has gone out throughout the whole entire earth, okay. There's a book of 2 Esdras chapter 15 and verse 15 says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." That's what you see now, okay. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another." Sedition is what you're seeing. Your governments are your governors, your mayors. Okay, they're going to be involved in that shit. All right, and then the civilians also. Militias being formed. All right, gangs being formed. Okay, it says, "And invading one another," right? "They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." A couple of days ago, you had this news information that came out that some dude went to try to, I guess he cracked a few windows of JD Vance, which, damn, that's crazy. JD Vance is actually the vice president. Where the fuck is that nigga at? Female looking ass nigga, right? Always got an eyeliner, makeup. This nigga look like Erica Kirk, bro. Anyway, so apparently somebody, went and threw some rocks at his window out in Cincinnati, right? Which is a high level Freemasonic state, right? Ohio, okay. But basically, that's all going into what they shall not regard their kings or princes. All right, once you start vandalizing, your vice president's home, all right, that's a problem. Okay, that's a problem. That's a sign of complete instability, complete disrespect. And when you got your leaders moving the way they're moving, the people lose respect and trust for them. All right, love, admiration, they lose all that shit. They start to wake up to what's really going on. All right, And that's what's going to cause a lot of these so-called elites to run into their bunkers, man, because that time is coming. All right, it says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. All right, you got robot dogs everywhere. All right, that's going to stop you from going somewhere. I know it's going to stop. I'm not going nowhere if I see them robot dogs running around. I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. Because what's going to happen? They're taking pictures of your face. They're scanning your face. They're putting in a database. Now they're coming after you. Nah, we good, bro. We're not playing that kind of game over here. All right, it says, for because of their pride and the cities, is it because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So things are picking up. Things are picking up. You're going to see these prophecies play out, man. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay. So yeah, we are at the time, man. This has marked the change in atmosphere, the change in the spirit. All right. The change in the climate. Okay. This is definitely a change in the climate, man. Like they said, turning point USA. All right. We are at that turning point. Okay. We are at that turning point where America starts going downhill and there's all chaos and death, destruction, sicknesses. All right. Everywhere, man. Okay. And that's all part of the Lord's presence upon the face of the earth. All right. Before this place go out, you're going to see natural disasters. Okay. Social upheavals, unrest. All right. They're not random. All right. They're not random. These are all significant signs. All right. Which leads to bigger things in prophecy. Okay. Because these things happen and then they pick up on pace and they pick up in intensity. All right. They pick up in pace in the sense of how often and regular it happens. All right. And how it leads to other prophecies. And then they become intense, much more intense. Okay. So these are the days that leads to that intensity. So we're going to see. We definitely going to see. But you got two fronts. All right. The homeland and the geopolitical landscape. Everything is unstable. All right. So we're definitely living in some very, very beautiful, interesting days, man. And definitely the year 2026 came in with a bang. All right. So we see how the Lord plays things out moving forward in the next weeks. At this point, days. All right. Because a lot of things are happening. Years are happening in days. Okay. Years are happening in days. All right. Beautiful times, man. Call Loya Bashim Yahshai. All right. So anyway, I'm going to leave it up there low when you're edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh, the water Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, Shalom.
We are standing here in Times Square in New York City while Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to speak at the United Nations to the world leaders. And we as Jewish people are joining masses of right-minded people who are standing up and saying, no, we are here to address the world and to encourage world leaders to take a stance. So many world leaders have taken a stance in the last couple of days, speaking here, addressing the United Nations, and we encourage the rest of the world. We as Jewish people are deeply embarrassed when all these crimes, this genocide, this starvation of little children, and this occupation altogether is being committed against the Palestinian people, and especially when this is being committed in our name, supposedly in the name of all Jews. And on top of all, our religion, the Jewish religion, is being misused to justify all these crimes. This is an embarrassment of our people, and this is a desecration of God's name. We are here to make it clear, to help people, to help government leaders overcome this massive propaganda and realize and understand that the state of Israel in no way represents world Jewry, and condemning the crimes of Israel is in no way anti-Semitic. If we are seeing crimes, those crimes are supposed to be stopped. They should be criticized and condemned, regardless who the perpetrators of them are. We are deeply pained when we see this catastrophe being inflicted on Palestine, but it's not only Palestinian people suffering, this is Jewish people as well. Unfortunately, we are seeing an endless cycle of bloodshed where everyone suffers. Little Palestinian children are starved to death. Jewish people the world over are endangered because of what's being done in our name. All of this is wrong, and we are challenging the Zionist propaganda, and we want people to understand that Israel is nothing about a self-defense. This is offensive from the day they started. This is criminal from the day they started. This is not the safety and security for the Jews. We didn't need safety and security in Palestine. We lived in Palestine in a beautiful peace prior to the 1920s, despite any differences of religions. Because the Jewish people at the time didn't have any agenda of oppressing the population of the land. It is the movement of Zionism which has destroyed that beautiful peace, and it's the continuous crimes which is fueling the endless cycle of bloodshed. If we truly want to see a better future, if we truly want to see safety and security for all, then we should stop the root cause, the conflict. We should stop this occupation, and we have to stop it in its entirety. And then and only then we can hope to see once again a beautiful future. Thank you.